Welcome to Unplugged Live with Dr. Diane Smith-Clark, PhD. Get ready to get inspired by the stories of overcoming life's challenges to bring change and transformation. Here's Dr. Diane.
Hello and welcome back to Unplugged Live. I am your host, Dr. Diane Clark. My co-host is still on assignment, but we're excited he'll be back next week. This is Women's History Month, and we're dealing with women who are making history by transforming lives in our community. Listen, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button on YouTube, and connect with this program Unplugged. Leave your comments, your inquiries, or if you'd like to be on the show, if you would put it in the chat underneath the broadcast, we'd love to hear from you. We like hearing the comments because we designed this program to be effective, and we want to bring the information that will help bring transformation to your lives. Like every other show, tonight is going to be dynamic. We're going to be talking about help us get out of this. Help us get out of this. And we know that there are many of us struggling with the disappointments and outcomes of our children. We do everything we can for them. We put them in classes. We get them involved in sports. For most of them to come out and just decide they don't want to do anything productive with their lives. So our guest tonight is Monique Curtis, and she's going to further introduce herself and tell us about her work in the community. Welcome, Monique.
Thank you for having me, Dr. Clark. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much. Would you tell our viewing audience a little bit about yourself and your work in the community so they'll know what they're in for?
Absolutely. So I am Monique Curtis, and I have been employed at University of Florida, Jacksonville campus for now 27 years. I am the patient services manager there, and I enjoy providing a wonderful patient experience for our patients, visitors, and staff there at the organization.
That's awesome. And
Thank you.
where you are, you have the opportunity also to work with a lot of young women, young people. Tell us about that.
Yes, absolutely. I have volunteered with my organization, which is called Daughter to Daughter. And with that organization, I've had the unique pleasure of servicing youth throughout the city of Jacksonville and really throughout the state of Florida since around 1999, actually. And I enjoy working with the youth and helping them to work through some of the issues and problems that they have.
What do you see some of the major issues? Because we're talking about help me get out of this. What are some of the things that you face and you have to deal with in your organization?
Some of the things that I see that our youth with um, are lack of parenting are one of the things, or absentee parents that are not in the home. So when you have one-on-one conversations with the youth, oftentimes they're dealing with not they react to the parent that is in the home, but most of that is displaced anger or frustration behind a parent that is not involved in their life at all. So that's just one of the issues. Other issues are just having poor social skills, not really able to acclimate throughout the school or even in social settings. Some of our youth struggle with academics, peer pressure. The social media right now is major. It is a major influence in our kids' lives right now as well.
That is so true. Even the government news media has gotten involved with the decline that is happening, especially among our young people in being consumed with social media and spending so much time there as opposed to their academics or developing their social skills. And one thing that we can say to help us get out of this, one way I feel that we can do this is we've got to reconnect with parents. We've got to reconnect with ministry leaders and develop opportunities and outlets to give these children the right information. And you know what's lacking the most is mentors. People are more consumed with themselves now, and they're not interested in mentoring. They're like, well, I raised my children. Okay, well, your children came out great. Here's some that might not have that great outcome. Would you help mentor one of these? Would you talk to one of these? So let's see if we can help our audience find ways to get out of the dilemma that we're facing. And you mentioned one, your organization, Daughter to Daughter. Tell us about it. We know you started it in the 90s, but what is its focus, its mission, and what are you guys doing now?
Oh, absolutely. So yes, we did start in the 90s, and I was originally started as a part of my church, my local church. And there I was able to mentor kids that were within the walls, within the confinement of my ministry through the youth ministry. Back in 2013, I clearly heard direction from the Lord, and that was to take the ministry to those that will never come within the walls of the church. And at that time, I sought out opportunities in the community to connect with kids that may not attend church, may never come to Sunday school, may never come to our revivals. And that opened up a whole nother lane of opportunities for me to be able to connect with the kids. I often tell people in my ministries between the sidewalk and the basketball court, because that's often where I connect with the youth, and I'm able to engage with them where they are rather than I'm inviting them into our four walls where they're unfamiliar, just really meeting them where they are. And that is both physically, mentally, emotionally, so that we're able to connect with them.
That's awesome. We need outlets like that. How can those who are viewing the program tonight get in touch with your program that someone might have a youth or a young adult that may want to partner or come in and be helped by what you're providing for the community? How would they do that? What are the steps to get involved with your organization?
Thank you. So contacting me directly, and my number is 904-497-3181. That phone number is also listed on social media under my webpage, which is Daughter to Daughter, on Facebook. You can also follow us there, and on Instagram, it's D2D. I mostly get kids at this point based upon referrals or word of mouth, because we oftentimes, have kids that are already in. There's a lot of programming that's out there. Let me say that. A lot of programming. And oftentimes with those programming is they're based upon what we need statistically, which are the numbers. But I don't connect with every child, and I don't onboard every child. And when I have the first initial meeting with the parent, I said, let's talk. Let's just have a conversation, because this may not be a good fit. And once we have that talk and that connection, and I go from there with the parent to see, is this going to be a good fit for the both of us? And we have a mutual agreement and understanding, and we're able to grow from there to be able to connect with their child.
That is so important. And I am thrilled that you were able to start this ministry inside of your church, because we are really trying to get churches, pastors, deacons, elders, professionals in the congregation of the church to bring the church to the people that won't come, because we can't help them if we don't touch them. If we don't make ourselves available to them, we won't reach them. And it's just marvelous. It's wonderful what you're doing. Because what age groups do you work with mainly?
From starting at the age of 6, I like to get them once they are actually enrolled in school. But I go all the way up to the 20s. I even have a few that I mentor in the 30s. Sometimes I connect with the kid, and the mom is like, I need your help too. And I am willing to work with the parents as well, as long as they're open. I've had some parents, to reach back to me, and they're like, she must be think she's my mother. And I said, remember, you asked for it. So,
Ah,
you know, you know, I only, get what you ask for. So if they ask, for someone to mentor, to come alongside with them, I'm more than open, but I'm not there to be a parent. One of the things I always ask the kids to do is they set goals for themselves. And what I do is come along with them, alongside of them and the parent, to work towards the goals that they have set and established for themselves. One of the things that you said about help us get out of this, and I thought about, how do we help someone get out of a situation? And oftentimes with the kids, we know everything is based upon, visualization right now, image, and helping the youth to really connect with where they are and where they are not, to me, is one of the best ways to help them to get out of a situation. Because if I think that where I'm at is fine, you have the problem, I don't. So really helping the youth to understand a sense of normacy, of societal norms versus the teenage norms, and helping them kind of grow from there, to get them to see and to become who it is that they really, really want to be, in their adulthood.
that's just awesome, Monique. And I know you're having some level of success, or you wouldn't still be operating that program. There's so many people, especially our young adults. I want you to take a few minutes, because I'm sure some of them are watching. And I'd like for you to just have a fireside chat with them about where they're going, and staying focused and committed to that decision that they're making about their future, so that they're not distracted by all of the things that can detour your journey. Would you take a moment and just speak to them, please?
Yes, absolutely. So there's a game, that I like to put in vision, for our youth and for our young adults, and that is the game of life. I remember growing up with that game, and you had to spin the wheel and kind of determine your fate, whether you had kids, whether you had a career. And I put that before you because you have to understand that life right now is not just about spinning a wheel, it's about choices. And those choices you make on a day to day basis, whether you make the choice to get up in the morning or not, whether you make a choice to study for an upcoming test or not, everything in life is about choices. And with that being said, with every choice, there's a consequence, some good, some bad. And when we make the decision that we're going to make a good choice that has a good outcome, it can only lead to a better and more prosperous life. So that life that you're looking for, that's on social media, that people post about, you can have that life. You can have all of those same opportunities and more, but you have to set the standard for you and where you want to go and to grow. Now, on the flip side of that, we can make some negative choices, and all of us have made negative choices. So this isn't to ostracize anyone, but when we make those negative choices, know that there's always going to be a consequence. Know that there's always going to be a repercussion for whatever decision that was made. So that decision may be not to study for that test. That decision may be to put school off for a semester and do something different. But know every minute, every month, every year that we delay a decision is still failure to make a decision. So, with those consequences, all lead to something that you may not want to deal with. And when I say that, you may be ready to move out of your parents' house. You may be ready to get your own apartment. You may be ready to, start a career, but everything has to be done in stages and in steps. And if you have made a decision that has led to a poor consequence, one of the things that I teach the young people that I serve is how to make lemonade. Every aspect of how we make lemonade deals with some of the choices that we made or some of the choices that we did not have an option to make for ourselves. But at the end, you have a clean product called lemonade that I love to talk to our kids about. And we deal with every aspect of that lemon, the peel, the grating, the smashing, and help you see how even with poor choices or even with some things that were dealt to us, some people were dealt some difficult hands in life. Perhaps they didn't know their parents, or perhaps they grew up in foster care, or perhaps something tragic happened to them in their past. But you can take those situations and make lemonade out of them.
Wow. I can reflect in my life and see all the lemonade that I had to make. And I thank God for knowing him and really
That's
learning
right.
that how important and valuable wisdom and revelation is, because you're speaking so eloquently from your heart because it's a passion for you to give them proper information, because the thing that's been missing a lot of times is having the right information.
Right.
And when you realize that you're not being effective, you're not reaching your young adult, or you see your children acting out behaviors that are undesirable, don't just get frustrated. Don't just get mad and start screaming and hollering. And because in our culture, we tend to feel if you get loud and you get boisterous, that you're going to get a reaction, and you usually do, but sometimes it's not the reaction that you were looking for. And so even a lot of parents, because we have younger and younger parents now, they're getting younger and younger,
Absolutely.
haven't had the benefit of being nurtured or taught about life, and they're just out there doing life on a string, I call it. They're walking over hell on tissue paper and don't realize how fragile that is and how valuable it is to have life. And many times we drag them to children's church and we drag them to Sunday school, and we're expecting them to have a transformational experience. But it's time now for the church to marry the family in a new way, and then for the church to marry the community, because we have so many pew resources, people like yourself who are equipped, gifted, anointed to reach people groups who are comfortable just coming every week, sitting as a consumer and taking what they need from the service, the message, whether it's the worship, whatever part they were looking for, taking that and say, okay, now I can make it another week, without considering, oh, my coworkers might need a lift, or I might need to have do some encouraging text to people that I know who are in difficult places. Give us some ideas of what parents can do to connect their children to proper services. What are some things we can look for? We have behavioral health. If there are extreme issues with the child, if there's mental and emotional behavioral issues, we have organizations that can work with them, and those organizations have qualified people, and they work on a what they call the sliding scale. So
Right.
they're working according to your income. They're making it as easy as possible for you to get help, because the whole culture of this nation has been shifted away from in God we trust. We started out trusting in him, and now it's in mammon we trust, in entertainment we trust, In popularity, we trust,
Right.
and unfortunately, it has infiltrated our ministries. What are some other things we talk? I heard you say you play the game of life. What other things do you use to keep them engaged? How do you manage to keep them engaged beyond 6 minutes? The average attention.
The average. Well, to be honest, how we engage our youth right now, every youth is going to be different, but listening, intentional listening,
Mhm,
to what it is that they're interested in,
mhm,
coming to the table without a hidden agenda or with an agenda that is not static. And when I say that, if a youth comes to you and they want to talk about, you know, basketball, or they want to talk about the newest video or what's trending on Snapchat, have a conversation with them, because once you have listened to them, they're more apt to listen to you. Sometimes, in the religious community, because I have, grown up in church and still heavily involved in ministry, a lot of times we have our agenda that we want to push. And we have to now look at the new generation that
yeah,
is coming. So we used to didn't ask why. If our parents said it or the pastor said it, we did it without question.
mhm,
This next generation wants answers. They
mhm,
want to know why we wear the black and white on Sunday or communion Sunday. They
mhm.
they want it. They have the whys, and we have to be ready to provide answers in a way that is not intimidating. We have to be ready to provide answers to them in a way that invites them in and asks and solicits their opinion on things, because they have one. Many of them know more of how someone that is religious is supposed to act than we do. Because if they see you walking sideways, they'll tell you or they'll call you out on it. So
Yeah,
our youth and young adults are very intuitive. They listen when we don't think they're listening, but I think having conversations at the table, there is a ministry that I do call At the Table, and we gather and we have conversations, um, unbiased conversations, and allowing them to be transparent and just being real. Um, Taking the mask off, putting them under the table, remembering when we were teenagers and children and
yes,
we did things and we made decisions, because many of us act as if we have never been through anything, that we've never experienced anything, and they don't want to talk to you. You know, they
mhm,
want to engage with someone that has actually been through something and not afraid to you tell that in the child that they've been through it. This is what happened. This is how I made it out of that situation. And this is how you can connect and bond with them. So we have so many opportunities that are around. If kids are interested in finances, if they're interested in computers, we have so many resources that are available in the city of Jacksonville alone, that you don't have to be the end all be all, that you
right.
can help connect them to different community agencies to be able to help get the youth what they need to be able to help fulfill who they are and who they are growing to become.
That is so important. And that's how we get out of this, is we start searching out the real help that we need and be advantageous, be courageous with releasing it and sharing it with one another. That's important. This whole programming was developed out of bringing awareness to the mental health space, because everything that you're saying deals with the mental health of the person that you're working with. We make decisions with our mind based on the program that's been running all of our lives. But you can
Yes.
change the program just like you change the radio, you change your MP3, you
Yes.
can change the frequency and the direction of your life if you're not going in the right direction. And let me not leave this broadcast without saying your faith also. You need a solid faith in God.
That's
Whatever
right.
you call him, Allah, whatever you name him, you need a solid faith in the living God. We call him Yeshua. We call him Jesus. We have many names that we've learned to call on and trust. And that's why the Bible teaches us to raise them up
That's
in
right.
the way, train them, teach them, develop them. And actually, I've learned after observation, after failed attempts and mistakes, that raising children is a lifelong project. And
That's
you
right.
have to work at it like you work at everything else in your life. And you have to be consistent because it's very important how you handle the children that God put in your hands because they become
Amen.
young adults like you. And if they
Amen.
don't know to pray, if they don't know to turn to God in times of trouble and frustration, we've been losing young people. I don't know if you noticed the news, but we've been losing young people to suicide and to uh,
Absolutely.
crazy violence. You took my cell phone, so I'm going to shoot you. And those are mental and behavioral issues that we have to get out of this. We've got to steward this new
Right.
generation in the right way. So my appeal to those of you who are watching this
Right.
broadcast, what is it that your hands can do to help us get out of this? We're losing young people. They're dying like flies. Rappers are dying like flies, and most of them are under 30. They're not even 40, some of them. And I was looking at that the younger people now, it's been just a increase in death among them. And I started praying. I was like, God, we've got to get on the ball as the church reaching them. Give us the ingenuity because we've got to do more that was done when we came to the Lord. We have to get on the frequency that they're on, and we have to do something to engage them. So I want you to tell them about your program again, and there may be somebody watching that wants to bring their young adult or suggest to their young adult or their child to that they know a place where. And you know what I'm thinking? That the way to introduce it is I know a place that we can go so that we can have better communication in our home. That's one way to sell it to your young adult. I want to connect with you. I raised you. I want us to have a relationship, and I know a place that we can go, daughter to daughter, and we can both learn how to interact with each other and save our relationship.
That's absolutely right. And I encourage, any mother, any father that is out there that has had a difficult time for whatever reason, with their child, you know, walking with daughter to daughter. I pray over every one of the youth that I service. Once their name comes to me, it's a daily thing that I pray over those kids. And I pray when we have our one-on-one sessions for the leading of the Lord as to what we will do that day, what our discussion will be, how we will, what activities we will participate in. So it's nothing that is just out of a curriculum from a book. It is all imported from heaven. So
Yeah.
and that's the way I guide and govern my life. And that's why we've gotten the outcomes that we've gotten with kids and parents that have been at their wits' end with their children and are seeing positive outcomes in their communication, a turnaround in their academic progress, and just a turnaround in their overall behavior and attitude, and a turnaround in actually seeing them love themselves. And that to me means more to me than anything. Just having a kid to fall in love with themselves that has been beaten down, by society. So, walking with daughter to daughter, connecting with us for the needs of your youth and your young adults, and even for, parents. We're here. We 7 days a week, I like to say, because I flex my schedule to be able to meet the needs of those families. But I want to walk with you. I want to help you get the joy back into being a parent, to get the joy back into being able to see your son or daughter grow up to be who it is that you destined them to be when you gave birth to them. So I think that you, me, and God can get the job done.
Yes. Together you can help them get out of this. Again, how do they get in contact with you?
So contacting me via a phone is 904-497-3181. I'm also on Facebook, Daughter to Daughter Inc. We're on Facebook and Instagram. We're under D2D, the number 2 and D.
Thank you so much. I've enjoyed our interaction on tonight. Thank you for accepting my invitation because I felt like I wanted you to say something to the community that doesn't know you. There are people that know you, but there are people who watch this broadcast that don't know you. And it's an awesome opportunity for you to gain new staff, new volunteers, and help other families restore peace in the home, communication, bring the joy of living as a family back to the forefront. Thank you so much for your program. Thank God for you. And I pray that God bless you and expand it to the point that it becomes a model that can be used in various communities, because I'm convinced God has more people like you who want to see us get out of this. Listen, I have an announcement. Those of you who have graduated high school and you're just aimlessly going from job to job, FSCJ has an initiative going right now that will pay for you your college education, pay you while you go to school, and then place you in a job when you finish the program. So if you're interested, contact FSCJ, and it's the FinTech Initiative, FINTECH Initiative. So please avail yourselves to that, because you need a career, you need something solid. Just going from fast food joint to fast food joint is not going to build the future that you're trying to achieve in your mind. But if you go and get yourself educated and equipped, gain some skills and tools that will help you properly participate in the economy and participate in the corporate world, then you'll begin to see the income that you really desire to have without working 2 and 3 fast food joints or doing a job that you don't even like. Contact FSCJ and see how they can help you better your future. That's how you get out of this. Thank you so much for joining us on tonight. God bless every one of you, and we pray that this broadcast is blessing you in some way, making you aware of what's going outside of your 4 walls in your little world, that there's a whole world around you that's being affected by you, whether you know it or not. I am Dr. Diane Clark, and I am empowering the harvest. God bless you.
Thanks for joining us for Unplugged Live with Dr. Diane Smith Clark, PhD, helping to bring change and transformation in the mental health space within the church community. Dr. Diane wants to hear from you. If you have any questions, comments, guest recommendations, or program topic ideas, visit DianeUnplugged.com and click the Contact Us link. Dr. Diane also appreciates your prayers and your financial support. You can give online at DianeUnplugged.com and select Donate. If your business or ministry organization is interested in sponsoring this program, you can go to DianeUnplugged.com and click the Contact Us link. Unplugged Live is on all the social media platforms. Just search Dr. Diane Smith Clark, follow, and subscribe. Unplugged Live with Dr. Diane Smith Clark, PhD. Healthy mind, wealthy life.